One-step equations. Okay, so this is kind of a basic equation lesson. Once again, reviewing. Hopefully you've already seen these. But as we are solving these equations, we always need to ask ourselves two questions. The first question is, what is the question asking? And the second one is, we need to know what the inverse is. We'll ask, what is the inverse? Alright, so let's kind of look at some of these problems and ask ourselves those questions as we go along. So our first equation is x plus 4 equals 15. So we have to first ask, well, what's the question asking? Well, it's basically saying what number plus 4 equals 15. Well, hopefully we know that 11 plus 4 equals 15. That's what it's asking. Now, to show our work, what we're going to do is we need to know what the inverse is. Well, we have a plus 4 here, so what's the inverse of a plus 4? Well, that is a minus 4. And remember, we kind of have a wall right here, and whatever we do to one side of the wall or equation, we have to do it to the other side. So this positive 4 and this minus 4 cancels out, and we're left with an x, and then our equal signs comes down. 15 minus 4 is 11. So there is my answer, which makes sense, because 11 plus 4 is 17. Okay, so let's try another one. This is saying 42 equals 8 plus what number? Okay, we need to know what number plus 8 equals 42. So maybe in your mind you can already answer that. Let's go ahead and show our work. So once again, let's build a little separation here. Okay. So our number is 8. What is the inverse or the opposite of 8? Well, that would be negative 8. So we're going to minus 8 here and minus 8 here. Positive 8 and negative 8 cancel out, so my x drops down. Here comes my equal sign. 42 minus 8 is 34. And there is my final answer. Does 8 plus 34 equal 42? Absolutely does. So there we just solved that one-step equation. Okay, let's try. We got a couple more. A few more. Okay, so here, what's this asking? This is saying what number subtract 8 equals 12. Okay, so we need to know what's the inverse of this number over here by the x. Remember, the whole point is trying to figure out what this number is. So we've got to get this number away from the x so it's by itself. So, what number minus 8 equals 12? Well, what's the inverse of a minus 8? Well, that would be a plus 8. So remember, we have our little separation. Since we added 8 here, you have to add 8 on this side. These cancel out. X equals, what's 12 plus 8? That would be 20. Okay, this is saying 42. It's asking 42 equals negative 7 plus what number? Okay, so let's figure out what's the inverse of this number right here by the x. Well, the inverse is, or the number is a negative 7. The opposite of a negative 7 is a positive 7. We're going to add 7 on both sides. These cancel out, and our x drops down. Our equal sign comes down. 42 plus 7 gives me 49. So, negative 7 plus 49 is 42, which is correct. Up here we had 20 minus 8 equals 12, which is also correct. Okay, let's try another. This time we have 4x equals 24. Okay, what is this asking? This is saying 4 times what number is 24? So hopefully you can think, well, 4 times 6 is 24, so x is going to equal 6. Well, let's show how we would do our work. What's the inverse? What's the opposite of multiplication? Well, that's division. So we're going to divide this side by 4. Remember, whatever you do to one side must be done to the other. So the 4's canceled out and your x drops down. 24 divided by 4 is 6. Exactly what we were thinking. Because 4 times 6 is 24. Okay, what is this question asking? 72 equals 8 times what number? So hopefully we know that 8 times 9 is 72. Let's go ahead and show our work though. Since 8 times a number, we have to do the inverse, which is divide. So divide by 8, Those cancel out and turn into a 1. So we have to divide by 8 on the other side. Our x drops down. Technically, we have an imaginary 1 right here because 8 divided by 8 is 1, but we don't need to write it down. And then 72 divided by 8 is indeed 9. So 8 times 9 is 72. Got it correct again. Alrighty. Looks like we have a division now. What is the question asking? It's saying what number divided by 3 equals 6? Okay, so let's think. What is the inverse of division? Well, that's got to be multiplication, so I'm going to have to multiply to show my work. Now, can any of you think what divided by 3 is 6? You got the answer. Let's see if you got it right. So times both sides by 3. Okay, because we were dividing by 3, that means we have to times by 3. That's the inverse. We have to do it to the other side of the equation. Our x drops down. 6 times 3 is 18. Did you get that right? 18 divided by 3 is 6. All right. Here we're saying 5 equals what number divided by 9? So we've got to figure out what divided by 9 is 5. Okay, the inverse of division is multiplication, so we times by 9. So that cancels out and leaves a 1, which we don't need to write down. 9 times 5 is 45, and we're left with an x. So is 45 divided by 9 5? Absolutely is. So there it is. Okay, so whenever you're answering a one-step equation, you just have to ask those questions. First off, try to figure out what it's asking. Second off, based off of that, you can find the inverse, and then go ahead and apply your work to the problem, and it should be you should be ready to go. So let me know if you have any questions.